No cats were harmed in the recording of this episode.
You're listening to the Reachcast Show, your weekly stop for the latest and greatest in the Planetside 2 universe and its community.
Welcome, everybody. It is February 4th, and you are listening to episode 19 of the Reachcast Show. I'm your host, Torkz, and with me tonight is my co-hosts, Noxx and Deringer.
Greetings.
What up, everybody?
As always, we are brought to you by the Imperial Reach outfit at imperialreach.com. The friendly TR outfit on the Waterson server. Check us out, 18 plus. And not even going to go into all the stuff we got for the show, but the main one is the patch, as you guys can imagine. And before we get into the patch and the content stuff, the t-shirt campaigns, I am proud to say, as a TR representative, the TR campaign is complete. That doesn't mean you guys can't keep ordering, but we have reached our 20 shirts, and any shirts from here on out will be printed as well as those 20. So if you want a shirt and, you know, TR red shirt with Reachcast, check out the TR campaign. You will get printed. Now, I can't say as much for the VS and the NC, but
hey, VS have 8 of 20. We're getting there.
Yeah, I can't say so much about the NC with our whopping 3.
It's really, I mean, this is a call out to the new conglomerate guys. What the hell is your problem?
You know what? It just tells me if we don't get any sales after this, that we need to cater to some NC after this. We don't have.
We're gonna do this?
We don't have any NC listeners.
Hmm.
We always give the Mag Riders so much love.
We'll have to make characters in every server and just roll Vanguards 24/7.
Yeah.
Just put like a decal on the side saying Reachcast 24/7. Just roll around in Vanguards. All right. Well, please hit us up if you want. We also, as you heard Noxx and Deringer say, we have an NC and VS campaign as well at teespring.com, teespring.com/Reachcast TR, Reachcast VS, and Reachcast NC. You can imagine what those links mean. So that's all for the show news. Anything else, guys, before we go into the patches?
Buy a shirt. Vanu sovereignty, people. I got Maggie retweeting every time I tweet it out, and people still aren't buying shirts, so I'm disappointed.
If I do it with Clegg or Higby, neither of them retweet it.
I got Clegg to retweet mine for the NC. I'm doing my part.
Yeah, no one likes me on Twitter, I guess.
Patch notes it is.
I'm going to get these mosquitoes in the air and rain down some hellfires on those fools. Oh no! What the f***? I should have listened to the Reachcast patch notes.
You know what I forgot to mention about the t-shirts? Just to remind everybody that I'm sorry.
Good patch notes.
A portion of those t-shirts that get sold, a portion of that money actually comes to us to pay for some of our hosting costs. So we do get a little taste of every t-shirt that's sold, just to let you guys know. So you're getting an awesome t-shirt and you're also helping out the show.
Yeah, the show does have costs. Hosting is part of it, but we have multiple costs, hardware costs and stuff as it breaks down. And we appreciate anybody that can help us out. You know, we pay for stuff out of pocket as best we can, but
we had to bail Torkz out of jail last weekend. We've got some pretty hefty costs.
Yeah, before we recorded tonight, in fact, my bail was not cheap. But on to the patch notes. Thanks for bringing that up, by the way, Derek.
Oh my god. I'm going to take a running start and then I'm going to do a flip and land on my belly probably because I overspun my flip into the pool. But diving right in, there's a spotting update. The spotting change repeated causes you to no longer be able to spot. It puts the ability on cooldown if you're spamming that Q button, similar to how Battlefield 3 does it. Also, if it's 30 plus meters, you're going to have to be a little more precise when trying to spot somebody. And you now have to be closer to the target to see their nameplate. Moving on from there, we have some weapon tuning changes. Weapons that were missing medals, now we'll have them. I'd never experienced this, but yeah. Shotguns. We have lowered vertical recoil on shotguns, reduced accuracy per shot, and increased the damage fall-off range. So this means they're going to be doing more damage for a bit longer of a range. It's not much. I think it's from 5 to 8 meters for the minimum, and the maximum is 15 up to 20. The jackhammer also got a pretty big buff. A lot of changes to the jackhammer for the NC. I know they were asking for it. I have not used it myself, even though I'm the NC representative, but lowered vertical recoil, reduced accuracy, loss per shot, increased damage fall-off range, reduced pellet spread, increased projectile speed, increased iron sight accuracy, increased iron sight move speed, increased hip fire accuracy, reduced reload chamber time by 100 milliseconds, and added it to the empty reload. So what that means is if you're reloading when there is a shot in the chamber, it's going to reload a bit faster, but that's added into the reload time when you've used all your rounds. So reload before you shot your last round, I guess.
I've seen a lot more people using the jackhammer since patch. I'll tell you that much.
Well, that's a pretty decent buff.
Yeah, I
no
think
joke.
The NC were really crying for it. Or not crying as in like tears, but crying out for it. And it's good they listened, I think.
I don't think...
I almost never got killed by one. I almost never got killed.
Yeah, I don't think they were unjustified in making that request.
I love NC.
Very underutilized weapon on the NC side, and especially for being one of their signature weapons. It should have been used more than it was. So I'm not happy to be hit by it, but I'm glad to see that they're listening to people. When a weapon needs a buff, it gets a buff.
Think of that. They need to patent a new fragrance, Higby Tears, like NC Tears. It look big blue bottle.
It'd be Higby's Tears. Can we get a naked Calvin Klein guy to advertise it, like in the Super Bowl?
Why does it go? Oh yeah, now I see where you're going with that. I'm like, why is that the first place you go with that?
Why is everything Noxx saying right to naked guys? So the jackhammer was actually one of the items that was missing all the medals.
Oh,
Speaking of the jackhammer, so there were a lot of people complaining that they weren't getting their medals.
More than one way.
Yeah. Well, moving along, the underbarrel grenade launchers also got a little bit of a change. They were fixed because a lot of times they weren't doing damage after a reload. But the biggest change to the grenade launchers themselves is that grenade rounds must now travel 10 meters before they arm and explode. So now if you're just firing them at your feet to try and get the person who's shooting at you, they're not going to work. So it takes a little more strategy to actually use an underbarrel grenade launcher now. As for the underbarrel grenades themselves, they have an increased internal radius damage from 1125 to 1250 damage. The internal damage radius was reduced by 0.5 meter, and they reduced the external damage radius by 1 meter. So basically, this is to make it so direct and near misses are more powerful, but overall, the explosive radius was reduced. Now, we also go on to the frag and the sticky grenades. They also reduced their external explosion radius by 1 meter as well. So a lot of grenade changes to just be aware of when you're using them in game.
We had one of the more controversial changes for this patch was the short invulnerability time that people receive after the respawn. So you spawn as Sunday or a medic respawns you. You have a short invulnerability until you move or use your weapon. And people aren't so happy with this. At least that's what the forums seem to trend towards. So
I think people cry a little bit too much about this. It's as soon as you move, it's gone. So okay, but why? Like, it's there for latency because more people were having problems where they'd be dead as soon as they rezzed because of latency. And I don't like, as soon as you move or shoot, how much damage can someone possibly do in that regard? Unless you're being an idiot sitting there looking at them and letting them aim on you. I don't think it's that bad.
Okay. Wait, Deringer, what do you think before we go on?
I have a little theory that I want to go over briefly about this invulnerability thing. And I don't know if maybe this is a bug that I've run into, but a couple times now when I've been running around as my infiltrator with the submachine gun, I've been hiding behind a lot of sunderers as people spawn and they don't see you because you can cloak in and out. And I've found that a couple times now when I've unloaded my clip into people that have just spawned with invulnerability, that I become bugged, where I can't take damage and I can't do damage anymore. You guys run into this?
I barely played, sadly.
It's new to me.
It's happened to me a couple times, and it's always in this exact same scenario, and I wonder if there's something with these invulnerable people that is making me bug out like that. I'd be interested in if anybody out there in the show has run into this experience as well. Because I know on the forums there's a lot of talk about people becoming both invulnerable and not being able to do damage, and basically you have to log out and log back in to fix that.
Are you able to knife people still, maybe?
I've tried knifing people, and that doesn't work either.
Oh, that's too bad.
It would be great.
Okay. Well,
that was my only theory. It was I know it's kind of a side story to the whole thing, but kind of a little theory I wanted to throw out there.
That's fine. It's news to me. Added auto infantry run to the game. Defaults to the equals key. Control Alt F11 turns off first person arms and weapons. It's nothing big there. Interacting and shooting are not possible with this change.
Well, there is something big there.
That's for videos.
A lot of people are going to be making videos now because you don't have your gun in front of you anymore.
Mm-hmm.
That's all cinematics, baby.
Yeah.
Medic C4 purchase doesn't allow every class to have it now. There was a bug before. Basically, if you purchased it with the medic, you would have it.
If you purchase rank 2 of the medic C4, you would unlock it on every class.
Mm-hmm. Let's see here. I don't know. Good. Oh, here's a good one. Mag Riders. So they changed Mag Riders so strafing does not allow you to go up hills easier or more easily. So, gone are the times of you being able to strafe up a hill but not go up it forward. Now I want to make a quick mention before we get to the end of the patch notes. Anything we're skipping over now, there are so many of them, guys. We don't want to just nothing but read through patch notes the entire episode. So we're going to put the link in the show notes. So if you guys want to check, yeah, as normal, as the norm. If you guys don't already know where it is, check out the show notes. They'll be there. But go on, Deringer.
All right, let's move on to the ESFs. They got a little bit of a change to them. The magazine rounds each got 10 rounds added to them for the rotary cannons. They also reduced the certs on them to 2, 5, 7, and 10 and raised the ammo capacity overall. As for the Reaver, they increased the rate of fire and the cone of fire itself was reduced. And for the Saron laser on the Scythe, the projectile speed was decreased on that. So some little changes to the ESFs. And I know that the rotary cannons are really more, they expect them to be used more in close range combat rather than being able to hit something that's further away. So don't be surprised if you're flying and your rotary cannon isn't hitting targets as far off as it used to be. That is an intended change. But enough with the ESFs. Let's go on to the main battle tanks. And my favorite, the Mag Rider. A big change is the Saron had its projectile speed slowed down. So gone are the days where you were easily sniping people from across the map with the Saron. It's a sad change, but unfortunately,
sad change.
It was a needed change because the Saron, even though it was slow to begin with, it was because it has that charge up time before it fires. It was too fast and too accurate in that case since it had no bullet drop.
Well, I'm happy about a specific part of this patch, and that is the fact that the Prowler got buffed, and now not only get buffed, it got big buffed. Damage per round on both the heat and AP or armor piercing rounds was increased. Loved it. Increased projectile speed. Amazing. Now, my favorite part. Anchored mode for the Prowler. Anchored mode for the Prowler now increased projectile speed of the equipped 120mm cannons, all 120mm cannons. So, heat, HE, AP, whatever you want to use, all increased in anchored mode. Big time. We were using it to shell the crown the other day from, quote, Mag Rider Hill, and it was awesome.
I think it's a good name for that hill. It will forever be Mag Rider Hill, even after we use the
Well, now it's going to be Prowler Hill.
No, it'll still be Mag Rider Hill.
One small piece of the Vulcan. Now, some consider this a nerf, some consider it a buff. I consider it a small nerf. Increased minimum damage and decreased maximum damage. The point being is that you're not supposed to be able to just mow someone down up front. It still deals as much damage to other tanks as any. It's the highest rate of damage top turret gun to any other battle tank. But it's not intended to be, you're supposed to be able to shoot a little bit further with it, but the minimum damage other way around, sorry. The range of it's been kind of decreased a little bit, so you're not going to be able to just mow people down from a distance.
I took it as evening out across all three ranges.
What I've seen in the forums is people saying that, well, and I've used it very little, but what I understand is that it's supposed to, your overall range is supposed to be decreased a little bit with it. But,
right. Well, going back to the heat a little bit, I took to Twitter when they announced the changes, when Higbee announced the changes. I don't think that they were needed at all for the heat cannon. And I took a little flack for it earlier in the week by a couple people telling me that I was completely wrong.
Because maybe you drive a Mag Rider.
Yeah, but when I do the outfit nights with Imperial Reach, I drive a heat Prowler all night long. So I think I have a little street cred when it comes to driving a Prowler. I know what I'm doing. I've got anchored mode. I've got front armor. My Prowler is decked out. And at one point last Friday night, it was whichever night it was before they announced the changes, we rolled up on a base. I took out 2 Vanguards, a Lightning, 8 infantry, and a Sunderer by myself with the heat without dying. And for them to buff it after I go on a run like that, I just don't think that it was necessary.
That just means you were playing against a bunch of bads. One scenario
it means that I'm good.
Make something powerful.
Well, my argument in the end was that I feel that they are catering to the solo and the bad players by buffing the heat.
Yeah. Nah. Go on the Vanguard.
It's easily the hardest gun to hit both shells with.
Not for me.
Maybe
I'm just that good.
Playing a Mag Rider, I'm confused.
You're just so good. You're just so good.
So good.
Yeah, see, I don't drive the Mag Rider as much as I do the Prowler, though. You know, when I play my Vanu, I either fly or I do heavy assault. So, well, my Mag Rider's nowhere near as decked out as my Prowler is. So, I don't know. Maybe, again, here's another one. I'd be happy to hear any opinions from our listeners, whether I'm full of crap as usual or if maybe I'm onto something this time. It would be a first. But I won't derail it any further. Let's move on to Vanguard.
Moving on to the Vanguard.
That bad boy got buffed like you wouldn't believe.
It had a lot of changes, indeed. The side and top armor got increased. The Titan 150 heat and Titan 150 AP had increased projectile speed and reduced the Vanguard 150 AP explosion visual. Apparently that explosion that you would see was bigger than the actual hit, the actual explosive radius of it, and so they fixed that to be more accurate. The Enforcer ML85 fixed an issue that prevented the projectile from reaching the top speed. It reduced the time to reload to 3.25 seconds and added some drop to the projectile. The Enforcer C85 is changed. Now this is a pretty big change. It has a 3-round clip instead of 1 shot before you have to reload. Has a 333 millisecond fire rate for that change, and they removed the exaggerated cone of fire. The reload speed, because of the 3 rounds, was increased from 1.5 to 2.5 seconds, and the base ammo capacity is increased from 30 to 60. So
now the C85 is the anti-infantry shell, correct?
You know, honestly, I don't use that enough. I'm a terrible NC representative. But
you play with Drev, don't you?
I do. I play with Digital Revolution. And I usually, much like TR and Vanu when I'm playing, I play infantry. I don't really play too much armor. So I cannot honestly tell you how these changes affect the NC.
Well, I looked
up
experiences
with them.
Well, I looked up. The C85 definitely is the anti-infantry top gun for the Vanguard. And changing that to a 3-round clip instead of a 1-shot, that's pretty darn big. Because it's firing rockets at people. Well, it's firing grenades at people, and if you can get a couple off, that's not a bad weapon anymore.
It must have been pretty awful, because I've never been killed by it as TR Vanu.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been killed by it either as TR or Vanu.
So, yeah, that's the Vanguard changes.
I think I'm going to have to roll out there with a Vanguard for a little while and play with it. I haven't played with a Vanguard since
I have one fairly certed. I just don't use it ever.
Well, let me roll through a couple my other minor weapon adjustments. The M40 Fury and the M40 Marauder both had projectile speed and gravity increased on them. The M20 Drake and the M20 Basilisk had their reload speeds reduced. The M20 Drake also had increased projectile speed and reduced gravity. The Halberd was placed between the Saron and the ML85 Enforcer in damage. So now the TR gun's damage is in between those two, obviously. To do that, they increased the projectile speed, they reduced the drop, and increased the reload time. And finally, the CAS-30 Tank Buster, they reduced the maximum damage on that, and also the fall-off now begins at 50 meters, which is down from 100 meters. So the fall-off is much bigger on that.
You also have some new decals, new camos, and new weapons. SMGs for everybody. Submachine guns for the win.
In case you didn't know from the other 2 episodes we've talked about them.
Yes, exactly.
I really like the VS submachine gun.
I dig the NC one, honestly, personally, but that's just me. Get some good UI updates. These are some of the bigger ones that I find extremely important. I like the vehicle and the gun balancing and the game balancing in general, but I like these a lot. Some people hate these, by the way. Got some real hate for these while we're doing the,
I'm one of the people
the
that
last stop. So designated enemy color has now been changed drastically. So used to be you see your enemy in the color of what their faction was. Now it's a situation where you can alter it in multiple different ways via the UI.
It's in the general settings.
Yes. By default, it is all allies are blue and all enemies are red. It doesn't differentiate between your 2 enemies, whoever they may be. So it's a big change to get used to. And all platoon squads are colored by what the squad coloring is. So Charlie's purple, Delta's black. It's something to get used to, no doubt. But I'm not going to go too deep into that.
Let's say it's tough to get used to if you're not NC.
You do need to note one thing about this, is it's per account. So when you change, if you like manually making the enemies different colors with the manual color separation, if you go to a different character on that same account, it will apply there too. And you can't make it by character, it's by account.
Which is too bad. I'm hoping that's just an oversight.
So if you play a lot of different factions, be careful about how Empire specific you make them, I guess is what Noxx is trying to get.
I'm going with friend and foe colors because going Empire specific, you're just going to start shooting teammates.
Well, like I went in, the first thing I did was when I played on my Vanu, I turned myself to purple, and then I turned TR and NC both red. And then when I logged into my TR character, TR and NC were still red and VS were purple. And I ended up I didn't realize it until I started fighting NC, and I'm like, these aren't friendlies, what the heck?
Yep, it's per account.
Another one of my favorite UI changes they made with this patch was mini-map hotspot explosions. If you look around what hotspots are now, if they have a lot of activity, it's gonna look like a disco ball. It's crazy. There's explosions everywhere, multiple different colors all over the screen. It's pretty cool. And got some smaller stuff. Outfit column sortable, so your outfit column screen can be sorted by any one of the columns. Last but not least, mousing over your chat box, you can now interact with any of the names that come across. So if you want to add a friend, you want to report somebody, anything like that, you can now mouse right over them and do that. And the reporting...
Well, and you also can just mouse over the chat box area and it will show up.
Right.
Before you had to press enter and then you're chatting at that point.
Yeah, it's a great change, a really needed change. Something they didn't put in now also is that the reporting feature, or player reporting feature, the window's been changed to kind of, when you report somebody, now it pops up a window saying, are they the aimbot, are they this, or are they that?
Oh, and apparently there's also a method of reporting someone who killed you, like reporting the last person that killed you.
Yeah, there's a button on the pop-up screen that says report last kill. It's really nice. Another thing they didn't include in the patch is that if you get killed by somebody now, it shows the outfit tag of the person that killed you now along with their name, which I think is awesome.
Yeah, I like that.
See, I didn't notice that because I haven't played yet, really.
Yeah,
that is sweet. I like it.
Yeah, I like that change a lot for something that's not really mentioned in the patch notes, but it was great. So, now we have a big chunk. There's also one last big chunk of the patch that Noxx is going to talk about the experience changes.
Yes, the experience changes, which I immediately was told that I did one thing and everyone's like, oh, now you're worth a lot of experience to the enemy. We'll get to that. They added bonus experience to the earliest supporters, aka Alpha Squad. You now get a 50% XP bonus and resources instead of, what was it before, 15, I think? Or 10?
I think it was 10.
It was 10. So that's pretty nice. I didn't realize this because I'm subscribed and I have that, and it just said 100 and whatever experience in the bottom, and I was like, okay, that's just, I'm getting 106% experience. But apparently that's plus 106% experience.
You thought you were getting 6% experience.
Yeah, exactly. So that made me really excited. I was like, yeah. So that's pretty cool. And then if you delete it, it's one thing to note, if you deleted your Alpha Squad bonus because you are a fool, for a bonus for one of the higher percent bonuses during double XP weekends or week, you can get your Alpha Squad coming back. They've confirmed they'll be re-granting everyone their Alpha Squad, but you have to be patient. It'll take a little bit of time. Now, moving on to the tiered XP system that exists now. If you are alive for less than 10 seconds and have not earned 5 experience points, you are worth only 25 XP to the person who kills you. This is, it's pretty significant.
Or 51 if you're Noxx.
If you moving on from there, if you are alive for more than 10 seconds or have gotten 5 XP or less than 1,000 XP, you are now worth your standard 100 XP for the person who kills you. If you have gotten between 1,000 XP and 2,000 XP in this life, you are worth 150 XP. And if you have had 2,000 experience in your single life, you are an extreme menace, and kills grant 20 XP reward. That's what the patch note said. So I think it's supposed to be 200. Yeah, I think I misread it. 200, you're worth 200 now, or it was mistyped. Probably I misread it. So that's pretty nice. And then surface to air XP rewards were added. So you get 20 XP for doing damage to air vehicles if you don't get the kill. And that said 20 in the notes, because I re-looked at that and I said, that seems a little low. Maybe that's 200 as well.
No, it's 20.
It's 20? So you get 20 on top of the assist, I guess?
No, okay, well, you did read it wrong.
20 over time, because I haven't played, so I don't know what this means.
Oh, here, no, I'm reading it right now. It says, killing a player who has earned equal to or more than 2,000 XP will yield an enhanced extreme menace kill XP reward of 300 XP.
Oh, I must have looked at the... Well, no, we're talking about the air... That's nice. You're worth 300 at that point?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the surface to air damage is definitely 20 XP. And I've been getting that constantly. If you just do a little bit of damage to a plane as it's flying over with your burster max, that reward starts popping up.
Well, as you're doing damage, you start getting 20, 20, 20, 20?
I usually only get it once.
Because I'd be getting 140 for assists all the time. I don't know how that's better. That's
if you're using missiles, you get for every missile as well.
Well, the 140 you're getting, this is in addition to the 140.
Okay.
So if a plane's flying overhead and you're pounding into it, it's going to pop up, boom, 20 XP. Because you did damage, whether it dies or not. If it flies away and heals itself.
Oh, you still get that.
You still get that 20 XP. Boom, that pops right up.
Nice. Okay. I like that now. That makes sense. I was like, that doesn't make any sense. All right. This is the one that I experienced where I became not an extreme menace, but I got that 1,000 XP. Is the Sunderer XP kill is way up. I believe it was doubled. What was it, 250 before? Now it's 500 XP?
Yep.
So that's pretty slick. I got 1,000 for a kill because of my bonuses, and I was like, yes!
That's a friggin' base capture, you know?
Yeah, this is to prevent people. There was a trend of people sitting behind Sunderers and not killing the Sunderer, even though they had rockets or C4, because they were getting more XP farming it. So this is to discourage that, encourage actually killing the Sunderer. And now, one of the bigger changes that I think is fully necessary was the XP bonuses that you get for population are based on continent instead of the world. So now you don't have to be all the TR on Indar and Esamir, and you're on Amerish getting no bonus and getting overrun. That was a good change.
Hallelujah.
Yes. I think something like, well, no, I'm not going to go too much into it. It's nice. So, moving on, we talked about spawn rooms enough the last couple weeks. They're awesome. Another bigger change was audio fixes for memory. There were various other audio changes, but the memory is a big one for crashing and whatnot, and just memory usage overall. And jump jets should no longer fail to function after switching to a different class from the deployment screen.
Fixed again.
Again.
I do believe I said that last show they would break it again, so I'm good. Yeah, I'm good to know that I was spot on.
And so, can I give my overall analysis of this patch as a whole? It's something we didn't really talk about, but TR by far the best Empire to play now. You know why? The shells. You see those shell casings shooting out? You can see other players' shell casings, not just your own. Love it. TR got the biggest buff. Visual.
Very nice. That's interesting.
So,
right.
I mean, yeah, we did, you touch upon a small point, but I mean, I think it's worth asking the question, how do we each feel about this patch overall? I think we can each take a second or two and just give an overarching thought. This is the first big patch we've had in a long time.
This is true. Why don't you start?
No, Torkz, why don't you go first?
No.
Okay. I like the base cover, the changes they made. They put in tunnels. I like the tunnels. I think overall is a great patch. There's a lot of bugs that followed up after it. And I hope, they said that, I mean, something we didn't put in here, and I don't think we covered in community briefing, is the devs came in on a Sunday to fix the problems with the mags and the Vanguards not being able to shoot after update 2 dropped. Came in on a Sunday. I mean, come on, guys. Before you grief these guys too bad, give them a little props. They're doing the best they can. They're coming in on a Sunday to do this work. So just remember that.
Yeah. Do you like getting called into work on a Sunday?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Noxx, what's your overarching thought of the patch?
I really like
We know you didn't get a chance to play it much, but
I didn't get a chance to play, but I said I didn't leave the TR warp gate earlier in conversation, which is not completely true. I flew around in a Mosquito and looked at the new spawn rooms, and they're just, overall this patch delights me because there was even though it's like you can sum it up in the show in the amount of time we did, I feel like just looking around at what I saw, the experience is going to be way different. The tech plant has those new entryways into the door that really make light assault more useful, and it really gives me hope into like what the devs are going to do with this game. It's only been out for a few months, and they've done this. It shows that the game is going to mature and get better as time goes on, and that's what I really like about this patch.
Well, good. That lets me be the contrarian to you two. Because as much as on paper this patch looks great, the bugs that they introduced are just too game-breaking for me to enjoy the patch. Now, maybe it could be because I'm running an older AMD processor, and I probably need to get out there and upgrade my computer to a nice i7 3770 or something crazy like that. But again, the stuttering issues that have been introduced, the getting down to 2 FPS at times that have been introduced in this patch. On paper, it's good. In reality, I hate this patch with every fiber of my being.
Oh, man. Good Lord. All right.
Yeah, you're just bitter about the Mag Rider.
No, because again, don't forget, I don't really drive the Mag Rider much. I mean, I had great fun, as we'll get into later, with the Infiltrator and the SMG, but there are times when I can't play this game right now. So, but we'll get into it further. But I think it was good for us to give our each just a little opinion on the patch overall, because this is the biggest one that we've seen in a while. So, but with that being said, let's move on to community briefing.
All right, community briefing it is.
Attention, soldiers! Get your bus in here for this week's community briefing.
All right, community briefing. First off, we're going to talk about Friday Night Ops. And the biggest thing we want to go over on Friday Night Ops is that the developers were taking Twitter questions. So we're going to briefly go into, a snippet of what the question was and then their response to each one, because there was a lot of good information, and we know that not everybody watches Friday Night Ops. But before we get into that stuff, more importantly, Maggie and Jimmy were wearing our T-shirts this week.
I was flattered. It was awesome.
I think Jimmy looks awesome in red.
And they got all colors covered because Maggie had the blue hair going, so.
That's true. Either way, they were wearing our shirts. It was awesome. And we thank them once again for putting our shirts on and just giving us a little more exposure on their show. We really appreciate it, you guys. I know they both listen to the show, so we're thanking you guys before we get to the thank yous. But let's dive right into the questions.
You got it in there, didn't you?
You know it right in there. The first question they had was orbital strikes. The devs are looking at wanting to make it Empire specific, so you know which Empire uses it. They don't necessarily want to award points for using it, so they will give audio and visual cues so you know when it's coming.
To that response, the not giving points was like the one thing that I was thinking they could do to a mass kill item like that, to not make it so it's just that's all that happens.
It makes it more of a tactical weapon rather than a points gainer.
Right, exactly.
And I think that's smart.
I think it's a brilliant idea. They also asked, are there going to be metallic weapon camos? The answer was yes.
I guess a lot of people are asking for gold guns.
Dude, you got to be all like whatever those African gangs are with their gold weapons.
Oh, gotcha.
Like what? I was thinking Goldeneye.
I was saying like, isn't it like in all the movies with the African gangs or the Middle Eastern gangs, they always have gold weapons?
I don't know who you're talking about.
We're not watching the same movies, dude.
They did. In Blood Diamond, the dude had a gold AK-47. I'm pretty sure.
They don't just all carry around gold AK-47s.
Not all of them, but the leader did.
I don't usually watch Leonardo DiCaprio movies.
That's Ethan Hawke, I think.
In Blood Diamond? No, it's DiCaprio.
It's not DiCaprio. I'm looking it up.
Says the guy that says he doesn't watch his movies. Like I don't watch.
My wife loves Leonardo DiCaprio. She has seen every movie that he's in.
I don't need to hear about Leo anymore. All right.
You looked that up though, Noxx, and you can let me know that I'm correct. The next question somebody asked.
Right.
Told you. Don't mess with the best. Die like the rest.
What was I thinking of that?
Really?
Next question. Somebody wanted to know if they were ever going to allow the option to equip SMG in a pistol slot. Now, they didn't come out and specifically say no to this, but they really wanted to. But they thought that they might allow some additional customization in the future, and said that they will be adding things like an auto pistol, which isn't necessarily an SMG, but it's a faster firing pistol.
Okay. The other I like this question. Weapons that can kill people through vehicle windows. So people want to be able to shoot people through vehicle windows. Like a heavy sniper rifle or something like that. They said too much coding. They want to focus more on things like water. So.
Yes, there were other questions like buffs to the jackhammer, which we kind of covered. The jackhammer changes did come out. They also asked about lasher and MCG buffs. They said they're incoming, but they couldn't give much info.
And the final question that they asked was about more cloaking devices for infiltrators. They directed people to the roadmap specifically, but they said that something like full invisibility is in testing, and they felt that the best way to do this was if you stay still, you will remain cloaked, but as soon as you move, you'd start to shimmer a little. But it got really good when Jimmy says that he wants you to have it so when you knife someone that you gain better cloaking, and he also wants to knife people while they're cloaked. And Maggie just kind of laughed at him and said that he would be too OP and that neither are going to be in development because of that.
Couldn't you knife people while cloaked in Planetside 1?
I don't remember. Well, either way, that was the end of the question. They didn't answer too many questions, but we thought it would be good to kind of give out that information because it does kind of give us a look to things that maybe aren't in the roadmap, but are out there as well and might end up in the roadmap eventually. But on to the next post.
I saw something on Reddit that was entertaining, if nothing else. It was, granted, the guy who wrote this is extremely jaded and went into some depth to, I mean, it's a little bit over the top, but it was well written and I kind of got a chuckle out of it. I will put it in the show notes, but it's a guy writing an article about picturing what a Planetside 2 hacker looks like. And I can't even explain it. Guys, please check out the show notes and check out this forum post this Reddit post. It's hilarious.
I like the part about Mountain Dew dripping down.
Yeah, Mountain Dew
unshaven face.
Yeah, it was so funny. Please check it out. It's worth a while.
Didn't Higbee make a tweet about that though? And it was like PC name Mom's computer or Mom's laptop. So maybe it doesn't fit totally into this, but I think Higbee's probably better on track to that than anything else. It's little 13 and 14-year-olds, but Mom's laptop. So we have a new community question of the week this week, which, maybe someone will answer this time, but
nice job, guys.
I'm not all bitter about that. Should the Planetside 2 development team consider creating a test server for future patches? Deringer wrote this question. I think I know why.
Gee, I wonder.
Be a little jaded, possibly.
Email us, do whatever. Tell us what you think. Should there be it's pretty simple, yes or no. So you can expand on that with your reasoning as to why.
And we're not even going to go over last week's question since you guys didn't answer it. So you guys don't deserve to hear our opinions on that question.
Man, all right. The good, the bad, and the OP. Jeez.
Have another drink on me, soldier.
Okay, thank you kindly.
If you can look hard enough past all the death and all the sorrow, there are good things. You must remember that we will overcome the good, the bad, and the overpowered.
Alrighty. My good for the week. NC weapon buffs. This is another thing they didn't put in the patch notes, but due to some testing, came to find that the NC weapon recoil has been dramatically reduced on a majority of their weapons, which I'm happy about. Whoever I played, T or otherwise. The NC needed some help. The recoil was almost out of control previously, and I think it's a good change.
You had to get the foregrip and the compensator just to make it like a VS weapon without anything.
Yeah, I mean, it was good. I'm glad that they made a change. There's not much more to say about that. The bad, I'm getting really sick of running an anti-personnel mines from NC and VS that are completely invisible. I look with IR scope, can't find them. I look around rooms when I'm going to breach them, can't find them. Get blown up by them constantly. But yet I can watch people walk right up to my claymores with my engineer and blow those right up and see them from a mile away.
It's the little green lasers.
Well, it's either that or it's a huge box sticking out of the ground. You don't see the bouncy betties. You don't see proximity mines.
Yeah, I don't. I've literally been standing outside of a door and then seen it pop up really late. So what I think it is I think those ones in particular, I don't know why this doesn't happen with the NC ones or TR ones, because I never have this happen when I'm playing NC, is I think they're just really on low priority for the rendering.
Whatever it is, I'll tell you this much. I'm getting really, pick something.
NC and VS abuse it.
Well, for sure. I don't mind getting killed by it if I'm not going to look for it. But either make them all invisible and we all know we're going to get blown up without any clue what's happening, or make them all viewable so that when I breach a room, I can at least look for them before I just walk right into it.
With green lasers that say, "Hey, I'm here."
Maybe a neon sign at the top of it too.
Yeah.
Make a decision. Make a decision. This is getting bad. Like every time I'd say a third of my deaths are always attributed to these damn mines because I'm light assault. And I'm getting sick of sneaking around and getting killed by mainly just mines because I can't see them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's irritating.
See, you need to look at the other side of the coin on this. I'm spending a lot.
I will not.
I'm spending a lot of resources to keep putting those mines down so you can walk into them.
Q.
Get out of here. Get out of here. Go on, Noxx. Cut him off.
My good, which I hinted at earlier, is the shell casings. I was giddy with excitement when I saw. I told Tick in Imperial Reach, I was like, Tick, I want to see something. Come over here and shoot. And he started shooting, and I was like, "Oh, I can see your shell casings! Yes!" And he was like, "What is wrong with you?" He's like, "I can't even see my own shell casings." I was extremely excited. I thought it was awesome.
Well, there's a question. Why couldn't he see them? Is his settings too low?
His settings were all the way high. We still haven't figured that one out, but I just thought, I was telling everyone, I was like, everyone's gonna think I'm stoned because I'm gonna walk around battle just like looking at other people shooting, watching their shell casings fly out, just mesmerized. But my bad is that I've been too damn busy to play. I haven't had a chance this weekend to play. And so, as if you couldn't tell with my inexperience in talking about the patch notes, I haven't experienced the patch. I flew around and looked at some spawn rooms, and that was about it.
Poor guy.
I know.
Well, you better make some time this week to play.
I'm going to try, and I'm going to 2 hockey games, and we got an interview on Wednesday.
Priorities.
Okay, well, hockey is priority. Let's be serious.
Well, my good this week is the Infiltrator plus the submachine gun. I've been abusing this on Vanu all weekend, where it's just so nice and easy to cloak, run up behind some people and they don't see you, and then uncloak and just tear into them with the SMG. It works especially well in and around enemy sunderers because you just pop in and out of cloak at will and just tear people apart. I like it a lot. I'm afraid there's going to be a nerf pretty soon. I like it so much. But
just because you like it so much?
I think that some other people are going to start abusing it.
Please, nerf me.
Like I feel I'm abusing it.
You heard Deringer all episodes like, yeah, I just got this like 400 kill streak and like
wasn't it only like a few, like maybe 2 months ago when he was saying he doesn't kill anybody and he just reses people?
Right, because I played medic all the time.
Because he can't aim?
Yeah.
I'm just so awesome at this game.
You don't need to
They really need to nerf me. Like
the submachine guns, you don't need to aim.
I'm so good.
I'm just so good. I just don't know what to do.
Look, I logged in and I bought the submachine gun and I ran down and I went 29-1 and then logged off.
Did you run out of ammo and you're like,
I ran out of ammo.
So I'll log off.
Got killed and logged off. Okay, but that was at the beginning before things went bad and my real bad came to light. My bad is the nearly unplayable lag introduced with this game update. I went from a comfortable 40 frames per second to 15 to 20. When they dropped the second update on us, I'm now down to 2 frames per second during some large fights. I know I complained about it a little earlier in the show, but as it stands right now, there are certain times in large battles where I cannot play the game anymore. And I log out in frustration. And I said it before, perhaps it's because I'm using a lower end CPU. I feel that I have a decent graphics card and my bottleneck appears to be the CPU because when I do Alt F and watch what my frames per second are, I'm always CPU limited and things like that. But there's got to be something that they're going to be pushing out hopefully this week to try and get me back to 30 to 40 frames per second because as it stands right now, I unfortunately can't play the game. until they introduce some sort of fix. And I'm a little sad about that, and that's why it's my bad this week.
Fair enough.
Yeah, that's not fun. I can agree with you there.
Well, next is our the last of our initial installments of Reachcast Stories from the Battlefield.
Cheater!
Next on the Reachcast show.
When the second wave was coming, we didn't know if we were gonna make it.
Tune in to learn about the untold stories that win battles and bring victory to wars.
We need reinforcements now!
Find out about the exciting turn of events.
This hole made you reach down deep, find something special.
See things that you will not believe.
We put the Sunderer into overdrive and punch through the enemy lines.
Hear about heroic stories from each empire.
New conglomerate.
Terran Republic.
The new sovereignty.
Coming up next on Reachcast Stories from the Battlefield.
We need reinforcements now!
The new sovereignty.
All right. So this week is my week, and
a cheater.
I blatantly cheated.
I did blatantly cheat. I would like to preface this. One, our sound guy Steve and I pre-recorded and edited a segment for you, or a recorded story for you. Now, the reason I want to preface this as much as I'm going to is I put in a couple hours fine, but Steve, I really want to give props to him. He put in, I don't even know how many hours. He gets really involved and loves doing this. And he put in, if you listen back to what I'm about to play, if you listen deep, there is so many little hinted pieces of the story being told, and the background is right up with it. The sounds, I think he said he put in over 150 different sounds in this, and he really put some time into it. So I want you guys, when you listen to it, really pay attention. There's some love put behind the words. Now, me reading it's kind of boring, but the sounds behind it are pretty cool. The second piece I want to do before I play it is I made two mistakes after listening back to myself reading this. Two lore mistakes. Now, I'm not going to tell you where they're at, but whoever emails me back this week, if you can find one of them and email me back, you get one entry into the contest. You email me back with both mistakes, you get 2 entries in the contest. The contest is for a $15 game card for the game. So this is a little impromptu contest, guys. Listen to it. If you can find the 2 lore mistakes, then you got a chance at winning a $15 game card. I wouldn't call them super easy to find, but if you do, then you deserve what you're going to win. But without further ado, my version of Reachcast Stories from the Battlefield.
Cheater.
We were told to hold, and we failed. The brass will not be happy with this. That was the last thought I had before I pressed down with my thumb. I'm sure the Vanu Max careening to the ground next to me thought differently, but his end was the same. The shelling began in the early morning hours, just as the light was creeping over the horizon of Endar. We had been pushed back, base by base, through the night by an overwhelming Vanu force, and now it seemed our platoon leader was set on making this AMP station the stopping point for that onslaught. We were tasked with holding the exterior north end's defense tower, and as I watched the wave of mag riders glide towards us, I wondered how many times had my squad felt the pain of reconstruction. How many times would they feel it again before this bloodbath was over? I ordered my squad to spread out and man the tower's defenses. The timing of the orders couldn't have been better, because a moment after the squad went to work, a shell passed right through the point where we had been huddled. As the turret gunners started to return fire, I shouldered my annihilator, turned to face the onslaught and began to prioritize targets. I turned left and noticed a mag rider speeding along the east wall of the base. He was heading right towards us. I dove for cover and felt plasma from his round heat my back. I circled the pillar that served as my cover and started my lock-on. The driver strafed and followed my location with the scanner. Without hesitation, I released my first rocket and ducked. I heard solid contact and knew the work had only begun on bringing this beast down. As I peered back over the wall to line up my next shot, I noticed a shadow on the hill, adjacent to me behind the tank. I worried it may be a Vanu infiltrator, lining me up for his next kill, but as the shadow sprinted from his hiding spot, I quickly realized it was my good buddy, Red Oak. He's going for the tank, I thought. I had no idea what he had planned, but I knew he would need a decoy. I sprinted back to my previous location behind the pillar, while the Mag Rider pursued me with round after round. I turned left and vaulted over the tower wall to the ground. I was only several meters away to the right of the tank when the driver quickly realized my position and began to turn to deliver my death. I waited until he was almost in position and then sprinted down his right flank, hoping the driver would lose me. I underestimated the tank's maneuverability though, and it already turned on me long before I could reach my cover. Knowing the burn of plasma before, I was not looking forward to what was about to become the rest of my short life. I turned and holstered my pistol, figuring there was no way in hell I was going to die to this nut job driving this tank without a fight. As I prepared to take my final stand, there was a sudden flash. I was thrown to my back. Dazed and disoriented, I lay there for several seconds before I regained complete consciousness, and upon coming to, I realized Red Oak must have mined the ground behind the Mag Rider before I made my foolish sprint. Red walked over the hill, and we exchanged a knowing smirk in the light of the Mag Rider's burning corpse. I stood and looked over my shoulder to see the turret gunners landing hit after hit, what remained of the Vanu tank column that first started the shelling. My spirits began to rise as I surveyed the battlefield, feeling for the first time hope that we may actually stop the force that massacred us throughout the night. I realized all too quickly that our hope was fleeting, for as I peered through the vehicle shield attached to the tower that we had been defending, I began to truly understand the despair of our situation. The northwest vehicle shield had been destroyed and the Vanu armor was rolling into the center part of the base en masse. As my previous hope dissolved and despair replaced it, an appropriate thing happened. A Vanu infiltrator's round entered the back of my skull, and I slumped to the ground. I came to in the chamber, and nothing but purified rage filled me. I'll be damned if this sorry excuse for a cult is going to take this base from us. I equipped a light assault loadout and charged out of the warp gate. The first engineer I came across felt my wrath acutely. I landed a shotgun slug in his brain pan and continued my sprint to the tower I'd sworn to defend. The Mag Rider blocked my path, so I initiated my jump pack and floated over my victim while I dropped C4 towards his aft exhaust. I smiled as I clicked the button to end another Vanu life. I bolted up the stairs to my squad. I was overwhelmed with the carnage. Pieces of my brothers laid everywhere, and blood soaked the walls. I heard screaming at the top of the tower, and I immediately lunged into the gravity lift while I finished reloading my trusty barrage. I had many hopes. I hoped to find an escape to this endless pandemonium. Instead, as I reached the pinnacle, I found a Vanu Max that had just gunned down the last member of my squad. The scum turned to me and I charged him, the last of my C4 in hand. As we toppled over the edge together, we each looked at each other. I came to the realization that the man in the suit resembled my friend Red Oak that had just several minutes ago saved my life. This man looked no different than the squad mates I had just cared for, no more evil than myself. Yet my rage would not let my brain rationalize the likeness. I pressed the button.
Alrighty.
That was awesome.
It's much better than both of ours.
It's way awesome. I was calling you a cheater, and I take it back. That was fantastic.
The production is definitely epic.
By the way, there's no propellered planes.
Oh, I know. I listened back.
I'm typing to him in the show notes. I was like, is that a lore mistake? He said no.
No, that's not the lore mistake I was talking about. The lore mistake is don't I will give you this hint because there's a lot of sounds to go through. It's not sound related. It's in the text that I wrote to speak. I made 2 very specific lore mistakes. And don't, I'll try to give one other hint. Don't take into account the physics of the combat and the mistakes. Mistakes are very blatant if you listen back. And, yeah, that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to give you more hints. Yeah, I heard that. I was like, apparently there's a Mustang flying overhead in the middle of this combat zone.
Spitfire!
But yeah, I have to say, I want to say this again before we go on to mailbag. Give most of the thanks to Steve. I read it a couple times and I went to his house. We worked out some stuff, but a lot of the effort and a lot of the quality of that was attributed to him. So, but without, let's get on a mailbag. And, one last thing. So this being the last iteration of the trying out phase of Reachcast Stories from the Battlefield, I think what we're going to do going forward is we're going to rotate weeks like we've done now, and we're going to kind of leave it as an open option to whatever host is doing their week. So next week will be Noxx, then it'll be Deringer, then it'll be myself again. If it's, it's kind of up to them and myself what you want to do for that week. If you want to do something like we've been doing, lore rated, fanfic stuff, or you want to do just a field report, whatever. I think we're going to try out some different stuff and see what kind of reaction we get from you guys. So as always, like I repeat countless times in every show, give us feedback. That's why we have email. That's why we have voicemail. That's why we have YouTube. That's why we have Twitter, Facebook, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
I'll give you a hint for my night. Vanu Sovereignty Appreciation Night.
Oh boy. All right.
Well, my hint is if you listened last week, I already have my story written, so sorry.
Let's get on.
Mailbag.
Let's get on the mailbag.
Oh, it's a perfect morning. Great timing, the mailman's just coming.
Morning. Here's the mail. Big bag. See you later.
Must be in a hurry to get away. Very strange. What's the sneaking sound? Going to take a look here in this bag of mail. Oh no!
Now you just open the Reachcast mailbag.
Still my favorite. All right. We had a couple calls this week. Let's get right to them.
Hello, Reachcast. It's Dr. doing it again. And I'm in the
He's breathing more than me.
Yes. I'm embarrassing myself over the internet. Anyway, my question for today is, which SMG do you guys like the most? Oh, and an extra one. Wait for it. I told you guys. Bye.
I'm telling you right now, man, you do that again next time I'm cutting your call off.
Okay, I'm going to go first this week. My favorite, it's a tie, because I really like the German MP35 and also the British Sten gun. I mean, those side ammo clips are awesome looking on any SMG.
They do look pretty awesome. What about you, Noxx?
Oh, I'm all about the grease gun from Day to Defeat.
Oh, good call.
Best FPS SMG ever.
Good call.
I like the oldies but goodies. I like the MP40. Old school, but it did the trick.
That gun was nasty too in that game.
All right. Call 2.
Hey guys, it's Keon Source again. Calling to follow up the story time. The stories are getting very elaborate. It's very interesting. But yeah, and I love the new patch. It's really cool. The January 31st patch. It kind of feels like just a complete overhaul upgrade of Planetside. And I did hear something about like the Vanguard not working as soon as the patch came out, but I didn't really experience that. Anyways, keep up the good work, and yeah, I'll listen to you guys tomorrow. Bye.
The elaborateness of the stories that he does not even know yet.
Oh, that's true.
And
that's
we can
funny.
definitely...
He's not prepared.
We can definitely answer his question that yes, the Vanguard, the Prowler, And the phalanx turrets, all at the beginning of the patch, none of them were working. They would fire, but no projectile would come out.
Well, it would come out. This is what I saw. I'll speak from my own ends.
Well, that's what I saw. I was on a phalanx turret and nothing was coming out of the end of the gun. So I wasn't hitting anything.
What I saw on my Prowler was I would shoot, it would render the shell being fired, but it would never damage anything. Like it would never make the contact and damage. It would just render that it's being shot. So
this was for lightnings too. I mean, a lot of people were complaining about the Sky Guard aiming your turret to the sky and nothing coming out.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of problems in general right after the patch, but they fixed those. Now they have the FPS issues to fix. So,
but we did want to go over one thing with the Mag Riders though, right?
Remind me.
About what some of the Vanu outfits were doing.
Oh,
Just to prove to everybody that we're not all dirty animals. Some of the larger outfits, when we found out that the TR and NC weren't able to use their main battle tanks, a lot of us made the conscious effort to not roll Mag Riders to make it more of a fair fight. So again, we're not all dirty, filthy animals.
I do find that very amazing as far as this community is concerned. So
the outfits that was bigger about that was Azure Twilight, correct?
Azure Twilight was one of them, yeah.
Twilight definitely did it.
So I think it's cool, guys. I did want to at least give you guys quick props on that before we go on. We did have one last call that I wanted to talk about and to kind of explain. It's a 12-minute long call, so I'm not going to play it right now. It's a well thought out call by a listener by the name of Desmano. He discussed how Planetside 2 would partner with MLG, some pros, some cons, and his thoughts on it. And I want to make sure that you guys can hear it in its entirety, but I'm going to do that in a post show. So we're going to talk about a couple points I cherry picked out of the call and then listen to it after the contact info if you want to hear the call, fully. Point number 1, outfits practicing on private servers. If there was an outfit sized MLG competition, would take away from the game as a whole. So outfits would not be in the game competing with everyone else as a whole because they'd be practicing for competition. I agree it could be a problem.
Yeah, if they had separate servers to go on, it would be a problem.
I agree as well.
Point number 2. So right now, outfits are kind of ranked by their size and how well they zerg, and that's how they get the recognition. Something like MLG or competitive outfit play would give smaller outfits the capability to kind of become recognized by their skill, not just their size.
I think that's a good point.
And point number 3. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, that's okay. I was thinking about it. And yeah, I have to agree as well.
And point number 3, he had a good idea on how they might implement something like this in MLG. The point was prefaced with MLG is kind of a smaller venue. You can't bring 48 people to an MLG event. So how would they do a 5-on-5 or something like that in MLG? In his mind, he pictured it. They would have you'd send your 5 people. One of them would be a platoon lead and 4 of them would be squad leads. That way you had a face to put to the efforts of the platoon. I thought that was a really cool idea. So I wanted to open that up if you guys had any comments about how you might picture it, Noxx, Deringer, this being implemented in MLG.
I don't agree with that. I'm all about figuring out some creative ways so you're not lugging 48 people to an event, but I don't really... A lot of what makes competitive FPS fun to watch, which is why esports exists, as much as Deringer hates watching games, the reason it exists is because people who are not playing enjoy watching it. And watching 4 guys bark orders to other people is, I don't think, even remotely as much fun as watching 4 guys and their extremely high-end skill level that you as a viewer don't have. And I think that's one element of competitive FPS that does not embrace, is you're not then watching 5 of some of the best players in the world playing the game.
I see your point. What about you, Deringer?
I will agree with that as well. Listening to people give orders to other people probably isn't what people are going to want to watch. If I had my way, I'd want to see 12 on 12 on 12 action. So one squad leader and 11 members underneath them. And I'd like to see how teams like that go head to head. And again, I want to see all three factions on the same battlefield.
And then the problem too is like you're bringing 5 people to an event for leading still doesn't eliminate the latency factor, which is what the reason for having a LAN event is all about.
Oh, yeah, it's a good point.
So, okay. But yeah, I mean, how to implement it's hard. I'm criticizing it, but I don't have my own idea. So,
yeah. No, you can hear the call, like I said, in its entirety after the show's over. We did have one last email. It was from Red Oak. He asked what we thought of the Prowler changes. I personally love them. I think that the anchored mode now does what I imagined it should. That's my comment.
No idea.
From the time that I did get to play it, even though I was stuttering, my FPS was in the toilet, I like the changes as well. Like I said before, on paper, the changes look great. I'd still kind of think the heat might be a little too OP at this point, but we'll see as we go down the road.
I think on paper you're correct. Like having to be stuck in a spot, unable to move, is a very big disadvantage. So having that basically laser shot is, I think, a very good change.
Agreed. Darren, do you want to grab the thank yous before going to contact info?
Yeah, I think I'll run down these pretty quickly. First off, though, the first thank you we want to give out is to anyone who has purchased a shirt so far. As we've said at the beginning of the show, a portion of these shirts, when the campaign is completed, for the successful campaigns, we do get a little bit of that money back, and that will definitely help us with hosting costs and other things like that. So this is a huge way for you guys to support a show, and we really appreciate you guys think that we're good enough for you to go out and grab a shirt to support us like that. Specifically, I wanted to give a shout out to Boss Rigs. They're a custom high-end PC maker. They've said that they're purchasing a pretty decent number of shirts. It sounds like they were purchasing at least one of each color, and that's pretty darn awesome, and we really appreciate that. But moving down the rest of the list, we wanted to give a thanks out to Dr. Toilet, to Desmono, to Keonsaurus, to Red Oak, to Will Tell, Whale Boy, Sonny, and finally to Rinsler. Rinsler specifically because he was nice enough to post on our show notes from last week a link to the Total Biscuit opening speech at the Ultimate Empire Showdown. And Noxx, you were right.
I told you, dude.
He got the crowd going, and that poor announcer girl was scared as all get out.
She had no clue what was going on. It was awesome.
And those are our thank yous for this week. As always, these are people who responded to us on forums, responded to us on, some people who responded to us on Twitter, our iTunes reviews, and our episode comments on the site. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thank you. Contact info, our website, imperialreach.com. The podcast is up on the banner. YouTube, it's youtube.com/user/reachcast media. It's like it sounds. We are on iTunes and Stitcher. And email us, reachcast@imperialreach.com, and call us. Now, let's stop for a second. Take your phone, add a contact. Just add a contact, call it Reachcast Show.
This is how easy it is.
And this is how easy. You just hit that contact. If you have a thought about PS2 during the week, just hit that and boom, you're on the show. It's that simple. It's 415-787-3224. It's 415-78-REACH. Put it as a contact and you don't have to worry about it again. Just pop it anytime during the week.
You'll be famous for one episode.
Famous. Your 15 minutes of fame. And you can reach us at Twitter.
Well, no, not 15 minutes, because otherwise we'll just stick it to the end of the show.
I mean, speaking of that,
30 seconds.
Please don't call in 12-minute calls, guys. I mean, I appreciate Desmond. I do. I racked my brain over how to best fit your call in here, and I could not find a way other than putting it at the end. Please, I appreciate your enthusiasm. Call in small segments, like maybe 2 minutes at a time. Call it with questions.
30 seconds.
1 minute.
Or 1 minute, 30 seconds, whatever, But anyways, you can reach us on Twitter at ReachCast Show. What's yours, Noxx?
Noxx, yeah. I've spelled it enough, but yeah.
Oh, and I'm at the Deringer.
And there's also Twitch, twitch.tv/ReachCast, where I will not be streaming the episode tomorrow because the hockey game.
And a thank you, as always, to the rest of the ReachCast crew. Steve, Cliff, John, and Drew. Without you guys, we couldn't do what we do. As always, everyone have a good week. Enjoy your time in Planetside.
See y'all.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Remember, if you don't have a shirt yet, get out there.
Hey, Noxx, Deringer, Torkz. How's it going? This is Mono. I just wanted to send in an audio file of how I felt about the MLG and Planetside 2 partnership. I think it's a cool idea, but I think they need to put in a lot of work in order to make it work, So I was doing a little bit of research, and just as a, preface, MLG is based on, whenever they have shooters on, it's always a small, either free-for-all, 1v1, every man for themselves out of like 10 people, 4 people, whatever, or, 2 5v5 teams, going against each other. Now that doesn't fit with Planetside at all. Planetside big, and that's what I want to see them do. And, so now when I was reading up on it, most players feel, that they're against it. They don't really like it because of this fact, and that they think that it's too early in the game's, development for them to really be thinking about, doing esports. Normally esports, you gotta have at least a good player base to start from. And we do. But, everyone's still just getting a feel for the game, and they want to see what the developers can do with the game first, not try and take it to something where they gotta spend more time developing in, for something that they're not interested in. Right now, they're still interested in just a basic game. They don't see how small groups will work, and I agree. They say it draws attention away from the development of the game. Just stated that. And, draws people away from the main content of the game, where we want to be playing on a live server and, and everyone being involved. We don't want people going off and doing their own thing or worrying about, some event they got to practice for or anything like that. We want them to be involved in the game constantly. We don't want to say, oh, it's a Tuesday. This is when this outfit practices, so we're not going to see them today. Because they're in their own private server practicing, it's just, or they may not even exist anymore. There may be only outfits designed for MLG, and we don't ever see them in the main game. So it's just like, oh yeah, well, they're just a tournament outfit, they don't really come out and play the real game. It's like, you don't want that. Then there's people that do like it, and they think that the public exposure will get more players playing, which is always great. We want bigger combat. We want a whole bunch of people playing. We always want to reach that 2,000 player cap on the continent. Pretty cool. Then they feel it promotes the direct competition between, 2 outfits, and, that there is now, if this is implemented, then there's a way to rank each other, because right now the outfits, it's really the more you zerg, the more, the more noted you are and the more you get done. So it's kind of a, messy way of ranking someone or establishing, credibility is by just having more people and taking more things. So I think that, it will be cool to have it happen, but it has to be the large scale combat. It has to be 48 players. Now I'll go through the few things that I think that they need to do in order to make this work, and that would be team composition, the place of battle, the battlefield, the battleground, whether it's going to be on a live server or a private server, and the rule set or the game modes that are established for them to play in. Now, with the team composition, I feel that it needs to be, I said 48 platoon based. It can't be 5-man. Some people were saying in the forums, well, maybe we could do 12-man. And it just, you lose the entire concept of what is Planetside, and that is team communication and everyone working towards a common goal of, capturing a base. But the skills and the tactics that are required, the communication between each other that's required in order to make that happen, and the ability to adapt on a large scale to what, another team or outfit would be thrown at you. I think that the way that it should happen is, since MLG, is, you know, in that 5-man mentality and whatnot. There's no way we can bring an entire team of 48 people to an event, as everyone knows it's impossible. So what I think is that if you could at least get 5 people to the MLG event to represent their team, and those 5 people will be 1 platoon commander and 4 squad leaders, and so that you get the faces that are the commanders of the platoon. And then that's what people can relate with. And then that will highlight what the game is about, which is the communication and the leadership abilities of everyone. Now, I think the platoon commander shouldn't even be they shouldn't even be in the game. They should just be sitting there with an overview of the map, maybe be able to drop in on, first person, third person views of their players to get a grip on what's going on. And then he can do his entire position is just to command. And I think that would really highlight what Planetside is all about. Meanwhile, sticking with a competitive, edge and a feel that MLG is familiar with. All right. So with the battlefield, of the map, the battleground, wherever you want to call it, where the fighting takes place, I would say that it needs to show off, what a full-scale combat in Planetside is like, but it needs to be manageable. So I was figuring that you would have 2 towers on either side where you would spawn, so you have both vehicle and air spawn points, and then a place to defend yourself. If you got pushed back that hard, you would have the turrets to defend yourself. Then moving in, there would be 3 satellite bases, and then you would have your main base that you got to capture, whether it's a tech plant, biolab, or an amp station. So you would have the 2 satellite bases. One would be closest to each tower, and then you would have a middle satellite base for everyone to fight over, and that would have a bunch of things going on with it, whether it's a vehicle, it would have a vehicle spawn pad, it would have teleportation tubes, it would have jump pads, and a spawn point so that you're spawning closer to the base. And then, your other satellite bases will also have teleportation tubes, but that's it. That way you're going straight into the main base and you're fighting there. And then from there I would want it, those satellite bases are what decide how many resources you get, how much resources you get, and how fast they respawn for you. So maybe you have a tick at every, it wouldn't be 5 minutes, maybe be every minute. And depending on how many bases you have, you get 10 resources. All right. So, if you have all 3 satellite bases, you're getting 30 resources every minute. Maybe that can be altered something, but that's the idea. And I think that's about it. Oh, and then on top of all that, so you have your 3 bases and each map designed for each base. But then you would have those 3 bases across the 3 continents and designed for that. So you'd have, one amp station for indoor, 1 tech plant for indoor, 1 biolab for indoor, and same for Esamir and Emmerich. That way you get a nice variety of terrain and a different, you have to deal with the terrain in different ways. You got the rolling hills of Emmerich, you have the crazy mountains of Indar, you have the snow of Esamir. So then in terms of the live or private servers, I feel as if, the event will be hosted on a private server. It just has to be, it just makes sense. The commanders will be given, logins for their platoon for them to log in from home and for this private server. And then I feel as if they should implement these, maps into the game, onto Amrish, onto Indar, and onto Esamir, so that people can practice, but still in the live environment. So you're not taking anything away from the game as we know it. It's just that when they're trying to capture this point, they know what they're doing and they can practice what they need to do. And so it's all part of the game still. Then the rule sets and the game modes, I feel that, we could do, 3, the 3 basic deals. You do capture the flag, you do, a capturing of the base, and you do something that's experience points based. So capture the flag, you got a flag runner. He can't hop in a vehicle. But what he can do is use teleportation tubes. And then it's all about protecting your guy and making sure he gets there alive. Then you have capture the base, where you just got to capture the base, and defend it as you're capturing it. What we typically do in Planetside. And then the next one, the last one will be experience points based, where, maybe the entire team, the entire platoon has to work towards, we'll say, 150,000 or something. So when you capture the tech plant, you're getting 48,000 XP. Every time you kill someone, you're getting that 100 XP. And all the support and that comes along with it. So whether you're supporting, blowing stuff up or capturing bases, you're all trying to build towards that, 150, maybe less, maybe like 120,000 experience points. All right. So thank you so much, guys, for let me state my piece. I'm sorry, Torkz, that this is way past how much I said. I said 5 minutes and that's over 10 minutes. But I just wanted to voice my opinion and, Sony's putting in all this work for us. They're trying to make the game great. I know that they feel as if esports is a fantastic way not only to promote their game, but to show us a new way to play the game. And that's great because we're always looking for different things to do. Capturing bases are great, but we're just looking for extra content. And that's what they're trying to provide us. So when I took a look at it, I said, okay, esports, I like it, but, I'm not sure how it's going to work for us. But this is how I think it can work. And I wanted to voice my opinion and put it out there for them to work with, for them to consider, for everyone to consider, and just to, help open everyone's minds. I'm sure I probably stated more than half of what I had to say has probably been said in a boardroom, at SOE, but just to make sure, better safe than sorry. So thank you, Torkz, Noxx, Deringer, Reachcast, and, everyone, that's involved with it. Steven, sorry, I'm trying to remember the other names that are mentioned in the beginning of the, podcast or at the end of the podcast, but thank you guys. And thank you so much for, hearing me out and providing, us with the opportunity, to voice our opinions and to say what we think, is important for the community. And it's great. Having you guys be the hosts because you're fantastic at it. And, it promotes, responses like mine. I would never think about doing something like this, until, I hear your podcast. I hear what you guys have to say. I see the response from the devs. I see the response to you specifically. And it's awesome. And so I feel as if talking, to you guys and being a part of the show, calling in is just a way to, further the community and really feel as if we're all, part of it. And that's all thanks to you guys. So thank you. Have a nice week, guys. And, I'll listen to your show when you put it up on Monday or Tuesday. Thanks. Bye.
I'm going to kill that cat though.